beautiful Gallo paints. That's what we're going to be looking at today. This I call my European Castle palette, which I feel has a real European feel to it. They have about 100 colors on their website, and they come out with limited edition amounts every month or so, and you can also get them on Jackson's. So we're going to be taking a look. I have 65 colors to show you today in my palette, and it's jam-packed. It's so pretty, I almost hate to use it, but you know, that's what watercolors are for. If you don't use them, then you know, what's the point in having them? So we're going to dip and dive and swatch all these out today, go over the pigment information. So let's go. This chart is huge. I think this is one of the largest swatching charts that I've made yet so far. So we're going to have a little fun today, kick up our heels, and go over each and every one, take a closer look. Let's zoom on in. All right, we're zoomed in. We're going to be using our Escoda Perla number 8 today. Hopefully you can see that. It's a little stained. Beautiful brush. I've been really having a good time with this one, swatching and everything. I don't know if I mentioned all of these are honey-based paints, and they are all handmade. Nice and old-fashioned way. The first up, we have Venetian PR 255. These colors are vibrant. They are saturated. It's one of my favorites. Beautiful. Then we have Medici Red PR 168. And I'm using Saunders Waterford Hot Pressed. These colors have like a vibrancy to them with being kind of muted all at the same time. They kind of have like a classy feel to them. Scarlet PR 254. Then we have Alizarin Crimson, PR 177, PR 144, and PV 19. I don't think there's a bad red in the bunch here. I noticed that these paints, they pack a punch right from the start, extremely pigmented, but they tend to not layer as easily as some other paints. Ruby PR 264. I did not pre-wet these. They are straight from the pan, just with the damp brush. And I had to get a lot on a page, so the only tape that I had thin enough was the yellow, so I'm hoping that's not too distracting. What are some of your favorite paints? Do you usually use a mixed palette, or do you keep your brands separate, or what do you usually do? If you can pop a comment down. I'd love to know. Permanent Carmine, PV19. And if you'd like demos at the end of the videos, please let me know also. This one's going to be quite long just with the swatches, but I could always do a separate one or a part 2. And Potters. PR233. I love Potter's Pink in general. I have it in quite a few palettes, and there's something about it. All right, let's move this paper over a bit. Then we go into Petra Rose. This color is beautiful. PV19, PV16, PR233. It's very similar to a Potter's Pink, slightly less granulating and slightly more pink and potent. Not by too much though. I think you would only need to have one. Then we have Quinacridone Magenta, PR122. And this packs a punch. Then we have Opera, PR122 as well. Now, I didn't see this on their website, the Opera, so I don't know if the Quin Magenta just took over, or because they are extremely similar. And that's not like a true opera. It's not, doesn't have that like glow in the dark feeling. Ultramarine Pink. PV259. And this always tends to be a much softer color. It's a really nice one though. Some of them I've had such a hard time trying to get them to rewet. This rewets, even though it's low tinting, it rewets really, really beautiful. Very pretty. Mineral Violet, PV16. You can always tell the second dip I get so much more color on the brush because it had time to get a little moisture to the pan. That's how easy they re-wet though. Very pretty. Quinacridone Violet, PV55. They do have all the pigment information on the website under each color. So when you click on the color, it tells you all the information, and they have that also on Jackson's. You gotta like how much the quinacridones are so potent. And then let's smooth this up just a teeny bit. I still want you to be able to compare. Nocturnal, PB29, PR101, and PB19. And this is a favorite of many's. It has a really interesting quality. And we'll get closer lookups at these when they dry. I knew this video was going to be a long one, so I didn't do a really long intro there. I figure I can talk to you while we're doing these. Wow, look at that color. That is really interesting. Tyrian Purple, PV16, PV15. This tape is so thin, I have to watch that I don't accidentally go out of the lines here. Periwinkle, PB15:1, PB29, PW6, and PR122. It's a mouthful. Oops. Sorry about that if you heard the phone. My house is never quiet. There's always something going on outside, or kid calling me. Yinmin, PB86. These are this is one of the newest colors. Very expensive pigment. Hopefully the price will come down on this as it's more readily available. It is really pretty. Then we have Indanthrone, PB60. I think Indanthrone is one of my favorite blues. Very pretty. Azuro, PB29, PB15:3. And this is kind of a bright mixing color here. Zirconium, PB71. And this is one of those shades that it's a little harder to rewet. It tends to be granulating, but low tinting strength. Oops. But it has a quality to it that's quite pretty. Be pretty in a sky. Let's move over just a little bit. And we have transparent cerulean. PB15:3. I hope these swatching videos are helping if you're looking to add a color to your collection or make a palette. Then we have Payne's Gray, PB15:1, PBK7, and PV19. Let's see if we can see a little lighter shade on there. Aquamarine, PB15:4, PG7, PB29. Then we have teal, PW6, PG7, and PB15:3. It's always awkward how I have to stand and kind of do these swatches. If you could see, I'm like all bent around the camera. Very pretty. Harbor, this is one of their specialty colors that a lot of people really like. PB15:3 and PBR8. It's a little piece of dust or something there. The nice thing, if you are looking for a certain color, and say they're out of stock on the Gallo site, which I will link in the description, they do have them on Jackson's as well now. So you can go ahead and get the color that you need and not have to wait till the end of the month. They usually restock like the last weekend of the month on a Sunday, I want to say. Now we have copper blue, which is one of their specialty colors as well, and that's at PW4, PG7, PB15:3, and PY3, and that's a mouthful as well. But it is a really interesting color. It does have some opacity to it because of the white that's in this one. That's why I like to write all the names and numbers underneath the colors. You can kind of see how the opacity of each color that I put down, or how transparent it is. And here we have another one of their kind of favorite colors among people is their deep sea, PG18, PB29. It's a softer color, lower tinting strength here, but it does have a very pretty quality. Then we go Viridian, PG7, PB29. All right, hang in there, everyone. We're almost halfway done. And this one completely packs a punch. Green Earth. These tend to be a little lower tinting strength and staining. PG23. This Perla brush is newer to my collection of brushes, and I really enjoy it. It's like firm enough, holds enough water. I kept seeing everyone rave about it, and I know why. Forest, PG7, PBK7, PY43. Forest colors, very nice. And it does get pretty dark. And then we have dark forest next to it with the exact same pigments of PG7, PBK7, and PY43. So, just in different amounts. And it is quite a bit darker. So if you were wondering the difference on these two. Malachite, PG7, PG36, PY43, and PW4. This is always a much softer color. Low tinting strength. Sap, PG36, PY83, PV19, and PR101. I'm going to need to drink a gallon of water after talking all these colors, all the pigments. Pretty color though, very pretty, very useful. Chrome oxide, PG17. I know a lot of people are not a fan of chrome oxide. I really like it. And I'm going to mispronounce this one as Verdacello. Hopefully I got that right. PBR7, PBK6. Very useful color. Deep olive, PY154, PY110, PB29. This is also a very useful color. Their pre-mixed colors are really nice. Or their convenience colors, I should say. Green Gold, PY150, PY184, and PG36. You know, green's not my favorite color, but I sure do use a lot of it. How about you? Do you have like a non-favorite color that you have a lot of in your palette just because you tend to use it a lot? I mean, my favorite colors would be more up in the reds range, but I use a lot of green. Fig, PY151, PG17. And this is the last of our greens going on here. I think if you have either one, fig or green gold, you really don't need both. And now we're going to go into the yellows with Lemon, PY3. I know some people don't really like lemon yellows, but I really do. The cleanness, the clarity of them, mixing to get brights. Azo, PY151 and PY43. Royal, I think this is my favorite yellow from them, is the Royal, PY154. I don't know why. It has a cleanness about it with still being very yellow. Gold Ochre, PY43. And if you notice, there's a whole bunch of PY43s here, so it'll be nice to see them all next to each other. Then we have Yellow Ochre Morocco, Morocco. This is very similar. Little easier to rewet. And a little bit deeper. Let me see if I can get a little more off of that gold ochre. Now that it's had time to... Sometimes the ochres can be a little... Yeah. See? It just needed 1 second. It's still a little bit lighter. French ochre. Still PY 43. But completely different. And then we have raw sienna, PY 43. And this one's completely different as well. The first two, these two, I would say you don't really need both. Quin Gold, PY 150, PR 101, and PV 19. It's a good representation of the original pigment. Indian, PY 110, PY 154. And this is a bright one. Now I'm going to butcher this next name. Anderlin. PY 83, PV 19, PR 101. I wish I was better at names. But the color is outstanding. It's like a really bright drab orange. Very pretty. The next one is Handmade, and I'm not saying that one right either. Sorry. PY 216. And this is another very orangey color. Very similar to the last one. I think you don't need both of those either. They're very, very close. Escalando, PR 102 and PR 101. This has always been kind of a favorite. It's like a perfect brick color. Transparent red oxide, PR101. And burnt sienna rounds off this row with PBR7. Is everyone hanging in there? I know it's a long swatching video. These two are very close. The burnt sienna is just a little bit browner. Hematite, PR102. At the end of the video, I'll give you a closer look up at my palette and how I squished all these into one large metal tin, in case you're interested in how to get more in your tins. Venetian, PR102. This Venetian is very nicely transparent. Quinacridone red gold. PY150, PR101, and PV19. And I love this. I'm big into my red browns. Very beautiful. Quinacridone chestnut, PR206. Umber brown, PBR8. nice neutral brown color. Then we have Umber Dark, PBR 7. Very useful color. All right, we are in the home stretch. Marcialone, PR 101. This is very opaque color. Chromite Brown. Now this one had a really weird pigment number on it. It was FECR 204 and then PBR 8. Sorry about the phone stinging. I have one of my sons sending me miscellaneous. My house is never quiet. A little bit seeped there. Another nice neutral brown. Green Umber, PBR 8. Then we have Sepia, PBK 7, PBR 7. It's amazing how easy these rewet. The green umber. Let me see if I can just grab. Nope, it's just a little bit low tinting. Ivory Black, PBK 9. I'm a person that I do use black in my paintings. And I use white sometimes, not as often, but I do use more of the next one, which is Buff Titanium PW6:1. And I have quite a few varieties of these. This one is quite neutral. Some of them can go quite yellow. And then our last one is white. PW6. Good for making pastels. They're usually not, watercolors are not opaque enough to really add in much of a highlight. Or at least I found. I kind of grab my bleed proof white for that. Or a Posca. Alright, let's zoom out. That is gorgeous. I'm going to wait for them all to dry. I'll pull off the tape. We'll take a closer look, and then I'll show you how I jam so much in my watercolor palette. Be right back. Alright, the tape's all pulled. Let's have a closer look. Alright, maybe you see something you like, don't like. Like I say, these colors are extremely pigmented, rewet like a dream, made with honey. They have a few of their specialty colors, so if you're looking to kind of try them out, you might want to start with those, like the copper and a couple of the other ones, the Harbor or the Nocturnal, and Harbor and Copper. A few of those are kind of unique to this line alone, and they do have some of the high-end colors too, like the Yinmin and the Zirconium, that you might want to kind of check out. The rest of the colors you probably can find in other lines. These have a very vibrant, muted feeling, is my opinion of them. And so now let's go ahead and take a look at the palette. I have my card in here, and this is, I basically took out this row of the metal things. I popped them out of the bottom of the pan, and this row. So these three middle rows don't have the little metal things on them, and there's magnets on the bottom, and then I just put in these little metal brackets so that the pans wouldn't slide. You can kind of see them in there. They're from an old palette. I kind of squished them in there. You could also use, I've chopped up like popsicle sticks or something, so that, and that way when you shake it, it doesn't, nothing moves. These pans don't shift or anything like that with the magnets on the bottom, and they have the flat piece that holds everything, that usually holds these little holders. So they're all nice and flat and even, and it just looks really pretty to me like that, all jam-packed. So we fit 65 colors in here, and I'm sure if you did take out this In one of these, you probably could shift them or something to get a few more pans in, but I think this is a well-rounded or extremely full palette, and you don't need this many colors, especially from one company. But maybe you found something you like. If this is valuable to you, you might want to think about bopping one of them buttons below. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you sticking with me to the end. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.